The weekend's action gets underway at 12:30 UK time when Aston Villa and Brighton do battle. The bulk of the games are at 3 p.m. on Saturday, including Bournemouth Arsenal, Man United Crystal Palace and Wolves versus Manchester City. And then it's the headline fixture to round out the Saturday action, Tottenham versus Liverpool. One game on Sunday, Nottingham Forest against Brentford. One game on Monday night, it's an all-London showdown when Fulham host Chelsea. And one match on Tuesday when Luton do battle with Burnley. All right, welcome to the studio, to the comfortable couch. We have Darren Lewis and Jermaine Beckford in the house. Shall we try that again?
Yeah, let's try it. I'm going to stand up.
This is brave.
All right.
It didn't work, but that's much better.
A massive flop earlier on, so I think we've done better. You as well? Welcome.
I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
I'll have some of that. Thank you.
Great to see you guys.
Felt left out.
What are you looking forward to this weekend?
Oh, from a neutral perspective, it's got to be that Spurs-Liverpool game. Oh, my gosh. Two informed teams absolutely going at it. Two great defensive, two fantastic forward lines, two great managers as well. So for me, that's the pick of the weekend.
Aston Villa, Brighton. Lunchtime game, you mentioned it a second ago. Aston Villa on a fantastic home run, 9 games, consecutive games that they've managed to win. Brighton, their best run since 1981. 5 of their last 6 games they've managed to win. They're playing fantastic football, lots of goals. Something's going to have to give.
It's Manchester United and Crystal Palace take 2 as far as this week is concerned. Let's hear from the managers, Roy Hodgson, but first, Erik Ten Hag.
There's been 2 statements from United today. First of all, Anthony, what are your thoughts on the decision to allow him back to train and to play, and are you worried it might be a distraction?
Yes, we make the statement, so I refer to the statement. I think everything is we make clear in the statement. And no, I don't think it's a distraction. We focus on the games, and he will do as well.
The other statement regarded Lisandro Martinez. How frustrating is that for you and your injury list? Is there any improvements? Anyone back for tomorrow?
Oh, we have seen some players back on Tuesday, and for tomorrow are back the players who are out of the squad for Tuesday. Scott McTominay, Christian Eriksen, they are back.
Erik, just in terms of Anthony, did you have to think before you brought him back into the squad? People will have opinions about whether he should be there or not.
I think we explained it in the statement, so I will keep referring to that.
And injuries, you're not the only club who's got a lot of injuries at the moment. Next season, the Champions League expands. There's the new Club World Cup coming in as well. There's more and more demands on players. How do you deal with that? Is it a bigger squad? Is it limiting the number of games players play? How do you look after the players?
We already did. We already expanded the squad this season because you make the reason clear. We had a World Cup in the middle of the season. We had a longer season. We had to play a longer season as well, FA Cup, then Nations League games, then a shorter break. And every time the schedule is expanding and the load on the players is just too much. It's such a great overload. But many colleagues of me are already pointing to that, and I have pointed to that as well. But it kept going. We keep expanding the schedule, but anywhere it will stop. Then players can't deal anymore with this overload, and that is, I think, what you see across many squads in this moment.
Erik, the statement on Anthony doesn't say when he'll resume training and when he'll become available. Can you give us any clarity on the timescale, on his fitness levels?
On Saturday he will be back in the training. So tomorrow.
You're comfortable with his fitness levels?
I have to see, but I think
And I guess a lot of your fans will think you've got clarity on one player, the other player who's obviously been in the headlines recently, Jadon Sancho. Is there no chance of any progress with that at this stage? Are you not tempted to maybe seek a little bit of clarity with him, having sorted one player out?
Many of you ask me so often these questions, and I have said everything.
How long can that situation go on for, though?
What I said everything.
Okay.
Richard.
Hi Erik, I just want to ask you about Sofyan Amrabat. He had a really impressive debut on Tuesday. What do you think his greatest asset is? Is it his technical ability or is it his energy and his stamina?
Yeah, as you say, he has more abilities, and you need, as a player on the highest level, you need a bigger skill set than only one. But I think his stamina, his dynamics, that is, I think, one of his biggest.
And just on against Burnley, you only had 38% possession. That seems quite a small amount, especially with your history at Ajax of always having the ball. Do you think United need to have more possession, and how important is Amrabat to that aim?
You don't always have. You need not always so much possession to have control in the game, because I think against Burnley we had across the whole game we had control in the game. But I prefer to have it like against Crystal Palace.
As some injuries coming back to squad, you have more options for the squad. In these two games, you gave some opportunities to the young players like Hannibal, Plastri, and also Goyle play his debut against Spurs. In the future, with even more tighter fixture, will these players have the time?
Depends on their performances, on the levels, what they show, if they can contribute to a winning team, and it's only about that. You play the team, you make the selection based on the opportunity you win games.
Hi Erik, how different will this game against Crystal Palace be to the one you played in the EFL Cup? Because the playing squads will be different, the starting 11s will be different, and what are you expecting from them this Saturday?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think both sides will be different, but we got belief from it. But I know the opponent is looking for revenge. Clear, that will be their fuel.
And in terms of just going on the young players, you mentioned on Tuesday night that the young players have shown you in training that they deserve to get the shirt. How important is that going to be during this period when you have got a number of injuries?
You see it already when you have players, when you develop players, you see the progress that can help you to tough situations. But also it's good for the club to develop such players, and for the players as well to get into professional football, to get into professional top football. And yeah, so great. I like it to develop young players. But as you said, the mentality has to be right. You have to deserve the badge, and every time you have to prove it. And on every occasion, so training, but especially on games.
I try not to reflect on it too much, really, because it wasn't a game that went the way we would like it to go. It obviously went very much the way United wanted it to go, and they won deservedly. But this is a new game, and it's a different team as well. We will make changes to our team, to the one that played on Tuesday night. So as far as I'm concerned, we all go up there with the same sort of high hopes that one always has when one goes to Old Trafford, and one looks forward to the game because it's a fantastic football arena. We're playing against certainly one of the very best football teams and clubs in the world.
Darren, the second time in the space of a week, 4 days, in fact, that they face each other. How difficult is that to do? We often see this in world football.
We do, but that is in the Premier League, because we have the League Cup as well in midweek in England, and everyone complains about the fixture congestion, but they change the teams up quite significantly for that cup competition precisely because they want to give everything to the weekend match. And I think that's what we'll see tomorrow. I think we'll see a very different game. Palace very passive in midweek in the League Cup, didn't really make any kind of impact. And so far this season in the Premier League, they've not scored a goal in the first half of any given match.
Wow. Wow.
I think as far as, yeah, exactly. But I think as far as United are concerned, they're on course for their worst start to any Premier League season. And they've only won 4 of their last 10 against Palace. I think this is going to be a different sort of match tomorrow. And I actually think after losing to Brighton last weekend, I wouldn't hang my hat on them winning this match at all. Sorry, I say losing to Brighton. They beat Burnley last weekend. They lost to Brighton at home in their last home game. But I don't hang my hat on them winning this game at all because they are still so unconvincing. Their confidence is very fragile. Defensively, they're poor. They've had the blow today that Lisandro Martinez is going to be out now for 3 months. It's all going wrong. And to be fair to United, they do have that long injury list.
Yeah.
But they've got the personnel. They've spent £1 billion. They at this level they don't get that sympathy because they've got the squads that other teams simply don't have. So then it comes down to character and leadership and who wants it more. And I see too many teams that play Manchester United, whether that's home or away, who want it more.
Yeah, since we have the official goal scorers representative with us today on the couch, we're going to ask you about goal scorers. And I think when you talk Manchester United, the main man has to be, we don't know what Højlund's going to do yet, but Marcus Rashford, when you talk the Red Devils. What have you thought about his decision-making this season?
Oh, it's been frustrating. It's been so frustrating. But I think that's because he's having to do most of it himself. You know, it's more about getting frustrated. You know, he doesn't trust anybody around him to score goals. Like, he was the top goal scorer last season. I think he got 17 goals. The season before, he did relatively well, and so on and so forth. And, like, in instances like this, what we're seeing here, I would go for number 3. The easiest pass for me is number 3. Right across the 6-yard box, it's a tap-in for Bruno Fernandes. But if he can switch that final pass on, that's all it takes. You just have to slow your thought process down a little bit. You have to have trust and belief in your teammates. That's what you're in there for. He will find, and Manchester United fans will find, that Marcus Rashford would not only get more goals, but he'll get a lot more assists, and the team will do far better as well. Because they're creating lots of opportunities. They're finding themselves getting in great areas. Like, it's not like they don't create the chances, but because he wants to do it all himself, he wants all the glory himself, it's almost detrimental to the bigger picture, to what Manchester United need.
Well, we saw what it was like last season when it works, when he works.
But what they've got this season as well, sorry, Darren, is they've got a target man now. They've got a focal point up top in Højlund. So this guy is one of those players, like Marcus Rashford, what he needs to do is learn to pass the ball into Højlund and back him up. Get in right behind him. As soon as he sets the ball off, run towards him, wait for the little set-off, you've got an easy shot on goal. Use him as a focal point, and that will create 5 yards extra space for Marcus Rashford to use the explosive pace and his great finishing to benefit the team.
Look, we're talking about what's gone wrong with Manchester United, as if they hadn't just had back-to-back wins, one in the league and one in the League Cup in midweek as well. Crisis averted for now. And also some positives. Anthony's back in training, and Sofyan Amrabat has finally entered the fray.
Yeah. And I want to be positive, and you know the Amrabat situation is particularly pleasing for them as a club, because I think as far as Amrabat is concerned, they've needed that workhorse in midfield. I know they've got a touch of class in Casemiro, but I almost wonder whether he still has the legs. Whereas Amrabat does. Exactly. And I think I don't know if you can maybe explain more about it, but as you get older, as you get...
Thanks for that.
Wow.
He's supposed to be my friend. Who needs enemies?
So you know what it feels like. He was doing it to me before.
No, but just in terms of classy players, I was about to say.
I see what you did there.
Around that. Do you then sort of start to see the bigger picture rather than just charge around making tackles as an Amrabat would do if you're Casemiro?
Yeah, you start using your experience, like your worldly experience, for example.
15 all.
Hey, it's 1-1.
Sorry.
It's 1-1 now.
But what you do is you start to understand that there are spaces and then areas that if you go to close down those areas and spaces, it's going to leave the one behind you exposed, which is going to be detrimental to yourself and the team. So what you do is you tend to wait and dictate to everybody else. And that's where the experience comes into it. You get the younger players with more energy in their legs, less miles in their legs, to do the hard yards for you, which is where the longevity tends to creep in.
So do you think they'll set up like that tomorrow, with maybe a Casemiro in the pivot, and then you've got MRBEAR in front of him, maybe mopping up, trying to see if he can snuff out the danger?
I think possibly. I think MRBEAR could be part of a double pivot with Bruno in front of the two of them in almost like a 10 position, but with MRBEAR doing the box-to-box stuff as well. So I think Casemiro will be sitting more so.
Got to ask you about their opponents, Palace. You seemed very confident that they would be able to do something on Saturday. Goal scoring, though, has been a problem.
It has.
Where do you think it's going to come from?
Like I was saying earlier, that they don't score in the first half of matches. They tend to really start to wake up in the second 45 minutes. Eze only came on, Eze only came on in the second half of the game in midweek. Hodgson Edouard missed a chance or two. But I think they'll be better in this match precisely because they'll be at full strength, first of all, because they made a lot of changes for midweek, but also because I think they'll smell that fragile confidence within the United back line. At the moment, I still think they're there for the taking. I think it may well be a kind of false confidence they have. I think Palace could get at least a draw from this game.
All right, predictions coming thick and fast in the studio here today without me even asking.
Ball, you've got to say. I'm Derek Ray, and with me in the commentary position is the former Arsenal and England fullback Lee Dixon. And if the game is as enticing on the pitch as it looks on paper, we're not going to be disappointed. It's Blackpool up against Manchester United.
Yeah, great to be here. How lucky are we, Derek? We get paid for this. Astonishing, really. Looking forward to a fabulous game. I'm sure the fans are too. Should be great.
Oh, big chance. Pulls it back. And a goal! 1-0. And what a fast start they've made to this game.
Well, here's the replay. He's done really well to get his head up and pick out a teammate. And then from that sort of range, he's never going to miss that. Easy finish in the end.
The opening goal of the game then. A sloppy pass. Fred. Shaw. Harry Maguire now. Bruno Fernandes. Oh, a nice looking pass. It could be the big moment for him. An opportunity to increase their advantage, squanderedly.
Well, yeah, he's missed it, and he's missed it really badly. Look at his teammates, they're not very happy with him.
Well, he was in the right place to intercept. It has gone over the touchline for what will be a throw-in. Looks promising, this. Has a go. Well, he did his job defensively. Disappointing pass. Oh, nice ball. Can he convert? Well, the keeper grabs it. Scott McTominay. Shaw. Bruno Fernandes has it. Here's Luke Shaw. Oh, in with a chance. Well, the goalkeeper doing what he's paid.